cannot financial literacy your way out of an income issue. And as a financial educator, I know and accept this, right? If you simply do not make enough money to meet your basic needs on a month-to-month basis, you will not be able to utilize many of the resources and things that we teach about.
Something that I think about frequently is this really unfortunate fact that being poor in America is really expensive, actually. Because if you think about a family or an individual who lives paycheck to paycheck, they only have like $20 of extra money to spend per week or per month or however long. If they need a new pair of shoes, right, they're going to go to Walmart and they're going to buy a $15 pair of shoes, which are not durable, not high quality. So then 3 months from now, when they've been wearing those shoes every day, wearing them to work, wearing them to run, whatever it is, they're going to have to replace that pair of shoes. Same with a car. If you don't have a bunch of money to go to a dealership and buy a new car, you're going to buy a cheap one off of Facebook Marketplace that likely needs a lot of repairs, and likely you will need to replace it sooner, and you'll need to like go get the tires changed or whatever it is. Same for your dishwasher, same for your fridge, same for your clothes, same for your phone and your computer, like literally everything in your life. Capitalism is designed, and these huge ass companies are designed to make their products crappy so that we have to buy more of them so that they can have more money. If you have the money up front to be able to go buy a nice durable pair of shoes or a Mercedes, you're not going to have to replace it as often because you've bought the nice quality version of it. So being poor in America is expensive, and that's just crazy. Like, the hypocrisy of it blows my mind. Food is being wasted, money is being wasted, and it all just seems ridiculously stupid to me. It's unfortunate.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I made a video previously about how poverty is very expensive, and I see that a lot of people agree. I'm going to be checking out videos on poverty is so traumatizing, and it is very expensive in so many ways, and a lot of people are going to give their experiences on why they think poverty is very expensive. Someone who grew up poor or you're presently experiencing poverty, we know how traumatizing and painful it is. You get told to save more in every society you go into when you complain about your finances, but the truth is people don't know that poverty is the most expensive thing you can ever experience. It's not even about just being on low income, it's the fact that the system is actually set up to punish those who do not have enough. Every little thing possible that you can think of, you're being punished more if you do not have enough money. What even pushed me to make this video is something simple like banking. If you don't have enough money, you get charged maintenance fee. You're charging someone because they are poor and don't have enough money in their bank account, and now you need to get a maintenance fee. But if the person had enough money, you wouldn't charge them. Oh, and when you're late with your bills, you get charged late fees. So like, some of these things are things that even make it's like it actually makes you feel worse than you already are. So that's the reason why we say poverty is very, very expensive, because you get charged a lot for being poor. So we're going to be checking out these videos, but before we get right into this video, please make sure you click the like button. It helps with the algorithm, and I appreciate that so much. Let's get right into this video.
Growing up, my mom was always saying that it's expensive to be poor, and the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And I was reminded of that today because I was going through my bank statements, and I had a charge in December for $12, and it was marked as monthly maintenance fee, but I'd never had that before, and I haven't had it in the month since. So I chatted with like the little robot, whatever person on Bank of America, and I asked them like, what's up with this $12 fee? And the lady looks into it and she's like, oh yeah, like there's this monthly maintenance fee, but we waive it if you either have a deposit over this amount each month, your account balance is over this amount, or your preferred like member. And I'm thinking, and I'm realizing like that was the month when I was between serving full time and looking for my new job. So like I didn't have a paycheck or anything deposited. My account had gone below a certain level. But then I'm like, oh wait, like I'm a preferred rewards member, whatever it is. She's like, oh yeah, like we actually looked at your account when it got below this certain level and you're no longer preferred. So I'm like, okay, damn, like you're really kicking me when I'm down. Like I have the least amount of money I've ever had and I don't have a deposit, and then you charge me more on top of it. But ultimately, like whatever, it's $12 and I'm lucky that doesn't really matter to me right now. But then I was thinking of when I was younger, and like my mom and I were really struggling, and one of our biggest sources of income was like my Dunkin' Donuts paycheck, which was maybe like $140 a week. And how we were constantly getting late fees, and they were always $35. It was like overdraft protection. So basically what would happen is like I have $55 in my bank account. Keep in mind, we're not even using credit cards. It's straight debit. So we're not even like overspending on credit. Like we're just, this is all the money we have. We're using it for basic necessities. And it'd be like, all right, I have $55 in my bank account. The phone bill, whatever the fuck hits, $70. Okay, negative 15. Okay, immediate negative 35 for the overdraft protection fee. So now it's like I'm negative $50. My next paycheck comes in, it takes $50 out of that. So then like the next bill, we're short $20. And it's just like an ever evolving cycle of every month, normally like 2 times a month, we're paying $70 in overdraft fees. And it's funny because that overdraft fee was over 20% of my weekly income. But to someone who made $1,000 a week or $2,000 a week or $100,000 a week, they would, one, never notice that fee if they ever got it, but two, they would never get that fee because their account would never go below zero. They would never not have the deposit. They just would never run into that problem. And that's why it's so expensive being poor, and the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. This can be applied to so many other things. So for example, I just had to renew my car insurance and it was for 6 months. If I paid for the 6 months in advance, I think it was like $550, I want to say. But if I didn't, it would be a total of like $750 over the 6 months. So I'm able to save $200 if I can pay it all at once, but otherwise if I can't, I have to pay $200 more. And if you're poor, guess what option you're going with because you have no other option. And the kicker is that $200 savings would really mean a lot to you, but you don't have that option. And it's the same thing with car payments and student loans and even things like the quality of your shoes or your jackets. Like you're buying the cheaper pair of shoes, that's all you can afford. You have to buy a new pair the next year. Parking tickets even, like you park on the street because you can't afford a parking spot, you get ticketed. Someone who can afford a parking spot, if they got that parking ticket, it wouldn't matter that much, but to you it does. So you fight it in court, you have to take time off work. It compounds and it compounds, and it truly is crazy. It's the same thing we see nowadays with Trump and the Republicans, and how like the bottom 20, 40, 60% pays the most in taxes and the billionaires pay the least, even though the taxes that the poorest people pay hit them the hardest. It's such a big percentage of their income and actually matters because every $20 actually matters to poor people. And the rich people, they barely pay their share, and even if they paid what they were supposed to, they wouldn't even fucking notice. Drives me insane.
You know that it's actually more expensive to allow poverty to continue to exist in a country than if the government just alleviated people out of poverty, because what most of us have been brainwashed to believe is that poverty happens because people deserve it, which is like kind of messed up. But anyway, point of the matter is getting people out of poverty, okay? Like putting money into not just like social services, but like also like giving people money, giving people housing, giving people like basic needs covered, will decrease people's sickness, right? Which means that they are less likely to rely and put pressure on the healthcare system. It helps people to get access to education, which means that they're more likely to be able to explore productivity, right? We like productivity, right? Assuming that you want productivity. I think people should just deserve to exist, but that's a different story for a different time. Reducing poverty also increases disposable income, which means that there's more likely to be people they're going to actually want to spend more money. Whenever like there's like an economic crisis, I'm just like, how do these corporations survive? Like low key, you know why they survive? Because governments keep bailing them out, by the way. It also reduces crime. Okay, getting people out of poverty significantly reduces crime because crime and poverty are interlinked like this. Like you cannot separate them, okay? And that also just like reduces welfare costs. Like you people don't need welfare anymore, and there's more intergenerational benefits for everybody. So why do we still have so much issue? It's actually, this is like policy analysis. So you look at like the cost of how much it is. It's actually less cost, less strain if we just got people out of poverty, if the government spent money to get people out of poverty, because what that would do in turn is it would put less pressure on all these different issues. You wouldn't have to call the cops all the time, which like, I don't like cops anyway. You wouldn't have to put so much strain on like healthcare systems. You wouldn't have to put so much strain on basically like any social service, more or less. Like people would just be better. Like it would just be less cost for everything else. Like we need to put our heads together, that's all.
You cannot financial literacy your way out of an income issue. And as a financial educator, I know and accept this, right? If you simply do not make enough money to meet your basic needs on a month-to-month basis, you will not be able to utilize many of the resources and things that we teach about. There's no amount of Dave Ramsey that is going to solve the fact that you do not make enough money. But why I think it's important to be financially literate and what financial literacy does is it helps you identify the issues, right? You don't know that you don't make enough money outside of the fact that like your account is overdrafting, but you don't know what that true amount is that you need to make in addition unless you really sit down and like are true to yourself about the numbers, right? So if you're making $45,000 a year, that's not helping you make ends meet. Being financially literate will be able to tell you that what you actually need to make is $80,000 or $85,000 a year. What that then allows you to do is devise a plan around how to actually get to that $80,000 to $85,000 a year. Because then you're able to say, all right, how do I go about getting to making more money? Do I need to go back and improve my skills? Do I need to, get a different education? Do I need to switch career fields completely? Can I start a business that I know will actually make me some level of income? And while you are on the path to making more money, you can then use these tools to help you on that journey, right? You're more aware of your budget. You're tracking your spending. You're not overextending yourself simply because you begin making more money. You also then start using high yield savings accounts that allow you to earn a little bit of extra interest on the money that you're saving, right? That is where the financial literacy resources really start to make a difference, but it starts from you being able to address the problems. And I see some videos about not being able to financial literacy your way out of poverty, and I understand what that means to a certain extent because yes, you can't just read a bunch of finance books and think that that's going to change your life, but it really is about implementing the tools and being able to problem solve to help you change your situation overall, wherever your situation is.
I had a month not too long ago and my bank account actually went below and I got charged a maintenance fee and I looked at it like, like really, like I wasn't like, when you don't get charged regularly and you don't expect that, like you're not thinking about it, you're busy, you're going on with your day, and then you just see that you're like, huh? Like you really took that out of my account. It's really, really so annoying. Way poverty is so traumatizing. Also, I've watched people who actually didn't have much money before, and then when they started getting more money, you are used to like living on that survival mode, and possibly you don't even know, like you don't get to like relax, mentally relax. I was like, oh no, I'm scared. Like, what if I lose it? What if I lose it? Like, I could lose this. Then it's like you have this kind of like insecurity that you feel like, oh my god, like I could lose all these things. Oh my god, what do I even do with it? Like, I'm actually scared of it. And I know some people who actually have the mentality that, oh, they have some money, they be like buying so much food to fill up the house because they are so scared of like not having food, because that has been their struggle, having an empty house with no food to eat. And it's so painful, like in so many ways. Not having like somebody that you can look up to that also have, or having like financial literacy when it comes to business, what to do with money. When you're advising people, I'm telling them, oh, you could have just bought this or start this business with that money that you have. But then when you have the money, sometimes like the financial literacy might not be there, and you don't even know what to do with it. Like you don't even know how to elevate your life with it. You don't even know how to fund something or do something with it, like, because your life has always been a struggle. Like it's always struggle to the extent that you never got to even learn how to even be rich or even have money.
The funny thing about poverty is it doesn't end when you get money. In fact, that's when it becomes more expensive. You grow up with nothing, borrowing school shoes, eating pap with sugar water, watching your parents stretch ama coins into meals. Then one day you finally make it. You start earning. But instead of building, you start spending to erase your past. You're not just buying clothes, you're buying revenge. You're not just going out, you're feeding old pain. You don't want anyone to see the version of you that used to struggle. So you perform success, loudly, expensively. But here's the truth. If your money's still trying to prove a point, you are not rich. You're still in poverty, just in different clothes. Real money doesn't need to flex. Heal first, or you'll spend your future trying to fix your past. And that's the most expensive kind of poverty we're still in.
Dinner for my 8-year-old because food's expensive as a mom of 3. Is that Wendy's? Come to the realization that a lot of people don't know how to be broke. A long time ago, I used to post a bunch of videos called Growing Up Rich versus Growing Up Poor, where I showed my very privileged wife how I grew up as a young poor kid. These videos always did numbers because it either shocked or hit home with a lot of people. Like, yeah, I grew up on that same meal. Or how my wife was, they make that? We're a family of 6 living in a 2-bedroom apartment. My stepdad worked 2 jobs, my mom worked a job. But we had to have quick and cost-effective meals. Meatloaf, beef stroganoff, tuna sandwiches, salmon croquettes. My mama can make $40 last a week for 6 people. Food is not that expensive. Y'all are just lazy and don't know how to be poor. Eating at Wendy's, you could have took that same money, probably added a few more dollars. $12 in total would have got you a pack of chicken legs, a sack of potatoes, and some side of veggies. You'd have had meals for at least the next 3 days. Y'all are just lazy.
Earlier today, I saw a TikTok of this creator talking about the notion of it's expensive to be poor. I'll tag her down below. But this concept is so interesting to me and something as a sociology major that we talk about all the time. Basically, this whole concept is the idea that when you're low income, you do things to save money that in the end oftentimes cost you more. An example of this is you might not get insurance because you don't want to have to pay for monthly insurance, but then if you get sick or someone breaks a bone, that's going to be way more expensive. But what I think is so interesting about this concept, apart from those two things, is when we're talking about this idea of it's expensive to be poor in terms of tax. Last semester, I took a class called Sociology of Money and Housing. And one of the ideas that we talked about is how every single type of tax in America besides income tax is regressive. Regressive tax means that the more you make, the less you pay. Let's say, for example, me and you are buying a car. We are buying the exact same car. I make $10,000 a month. You make $1,000 a month. Let's say for simplicity, the sales tax on that car is $100 on top of, however much we pay for the car. That sales tax, that $100 of my income being $10,000 is only 1% of my income. But for you, if you're making $1,000 a month, that $100 is 10% of your income. You are making less money. Yes, you're paying a higher percentage of your income in taxes. And that's how it is for pretty much every single type of tax except for income tax. Income tax is the only type of tax in America where the more you make, the more you pay. That is all apart from loopholes that allow for specifically people with money to not have to pay their marginal tax rate fully. Those are things like deductions on tax brackets and credits. And something I've always found really interesting is that for tickets, there's one price you pay. If you park in like a handicap spot, you pay like $250 for your ticket. However, if someone is like really rich, that $250 might not be a big deal. If they have to like run in to go grab their pickup order, they might just park there and fingers crossed they don't get a ticket. But if they do, no big deal. However, if someone is lower income, maybe they're in a rush, have to rush to go pick up their kid or whatever, they park in that spot by accident, they come out, they get a ticket, they see it's $250. That could be groceries for the next 2 weeks. And so I've always had this idea. I've told my mom this like literally back when I was like 8. I was like, I don't understand why like tickets are a flat fee. I think it should be like a percentage of your income because like I said, like a $250 ticket to one person is nothing. A $250 ticket to someone else, that's groceries for the next 2 weeks, even a month. But yeah, it is very expensive to be poor. And I think it's so interesting to think like all the ways that this concept applies. So leave some in the comments because I think it's really interesting and really powerful and all of that.
There was a lady on here complaining that she had to ration her kids' bacon. I wish I could find her because I really want to tell her that you don't have to buy bacon. You can do a lot with just eggs, bread, milk, and butter. The problem is the prices. I will agree there. There's a lot of things I don't eat anymore because of prices. But the main problem is that you don't know how to be poor and you don't know how to meal prep or plan your food budget.
When you grow up middle class or lower middle class, you just keep finding out about all the things other people's parents are paying for. Like when I went to college, it was a culture shock to find out that everybody's parents were paying for their college and mine weren't. And then when I graduated and then moved to a city, it was shocking to find out that everybody's parents were pitching or paying for their entire rent. And now, as I'm getting older, I'm finding out that everybody's parents are paying for their weddings and will eventually give them a couple $100,000 for their down payment. Don't try and keep up with the Joneses when the Joneses have very rich parents.
Growing up in poverty is so fucking traumatizing. Do you know, it just dawned on me that it's not normal for your lights to go off frequently. Wow. It is not normal for that to happen. My lights were turned off frequently. There were so many times when I was a child where we had to run the extension cord from the neighbor's house to our house just so we can have a little bit of electricity. We were on the verge of eviction like almost all the time. In fact, I'm from Baltimore, down the hill to be specific. We moved up and down Baltimore, down the hill over east. That's not normal. And I know y'all probably think I'm bullshitting. Like I'm posting this because I'm like, damn, it just dawned on me. It's not normal for your lights to be off. I just saw a video of somebody talking about it, trying to prank their parent. And I'm just like, oh. I think I have a conversation I need to have with my therapist.
Just saw this video of this lady talking about how expensive it is to be poor. Now, she's based in America, but she was looking for her bank statements, and she saw in previous months, or like say 3 or 4 months ago, there was a charge for monthly maintenance fee. So she hadn't seen that ever before that, and she hasn't seen it since. So she kind of gets on Bank of America and speaking to the bot, and she's like, well, I'll go on for that. Like, why would you do that? And they were like, well, actually, because you were poor that month, because your balance dropped below a certain amount, a little threshold that we have, we decided to charge you for that month. And she's thinking, well, okay, so the month that I'd ended one job and was looking for another job, the month that I had less money, I didn't have a certain amount deposited, that's the month that you decided to charge me more money. Okay. And it made her think about certain things that she had like that when she was younger, because she grew up with her parent, well, a single parent with her mother, and she was struggling. And it reminded me of a couple of months ago, I was going and I was withdrawing money to pay somebody in cash for something. I don't know, probably a drug deal. It wasn't. But, you know, somebody that only takes cash. I can't remember what it was for. And they're taking out quite a large part of money. And it felt quite weird because, you know, nowadays we don't really have money or cash like that. And this lady had come up to me and said to me, oh, can I have £1? Now, obviously, I don't have £1 because I've got notes. I don't really have £1 like that. I'd taken out notes. And she's like, oh, can I have £1 to put on my electric? And I don't have like a prepayment meter, right? I pay whoever it is takes thousands of pounds from me every year, but I don't have a prepayment meter, so I don't know how that kind of all works. But I was like, I don't think £1 is going to get you a lot of electric. So I was like, are you sure you want it for electric? Are you sure you don't want it for something else? And to be honest, I'm not even going to judge, but I'm just like, because £1 doesn't seem like a lot. So she's like, no, I do. Like, my son's studying and we need electric, whatever. So I was like, okay, cool. Listen, and I don't know about this. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just go with her and put money on. I was like, if you're sure that's what you want it for, then I can put money on for it. She's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. So we go to the post office. So I was like, yeah, like, let's put like £60 on your electric. So I go to give him a card. The man goes, no, we don't take card. What do you mean you don't take card? I was like, it's not a credit card, it's a debit card. No, we don't take card for payment of electric. What the fuck are you talking about? That's the first inconvenience. The second time, then I'm like, okay, cool. Then I have this cash that was for something else. And I'm like, here's the cash. Here's like, you can't put £60 on. So now I can't pay for the electric. I was like, what are you talking about? No, the limit is £49. What are you talking about? So now we know that people that have prepayment for their electricity or for their utilities are normally the poorest people, okay? There are some other people that choose it for whatever random reason, but normally it's people that don't have access to a good credit rating or credit history or whatever. For whatever reason, they have to prepay. Those people can't pay directly with a card, so they're often inconvenienced. They have to go and draw out money to do it, as I did. And when they get there, they get told, oh yeah, you can only put a certain amount on. So if they have a windfall for whatever reason and they come into some money, they can't go, you know what, I'm going to do the really responsible thing and I'm going to make sure that I've paid enough on my electricity that we're going to be good for a long time. No, they want to restrict it, not only per transaction, but it can only ever hold up to £250 or something at a time anyway. And I'm just like, these are the little things that make your life even more difficult. Like, everyone's having a bit of a shit time now, right? The economy's whatever, the geopolitical situation is crap. Everyone's having it. But you just remember that there are probably people that are having a worse time than you because they have all of these little pieces of friction in their life that you don't have to deal with, because fortunately, maybe you've got a more secure income and you can cover it. You're not living luxuriously, but fortunately, you're in a position that you don't have to go through that. Because I'll tell you what happened to me. I paid this thing for this woman. I gave them the money from the cash of the thing that I needed, and the woman was so grateful. She was almost crying or whatever. And I left and I sat home and had a cup of tea because I was like, that's fucking exhausting. I was exhausted from that exercise, honestly. So there you go.
You're late on rent by a day, that's a late fee. If you can't afford to fix your car, you risk losing your job. Need credit to buy something essential, then you're going to get hit with extra high interest rates because your credit is very low and you're poor. Which actually stems from not being able to pay your bills on time, but that's because you're broke. That's the reason why you couldn't do that. Now you're punished for it. Now you have to pay more for everything that someone else who has a better credit score could just get for lower than what you actually get it for, and you're poorer than the person. Now you're getting punished for it. And living paycheck to paycheck means that actually you can't even buy things in bulk. So buying stuff in smaller pieces, we all know that it's more expensive than buying it in more bigger quantity. The more you try to, get more, the more you're trying to elevate your life and do better. You need to go to school, you get hit with so much loan, student loan that you have to pay. Like, many things are just there. The system, everything is just set up for you to just keep staying down there and just keep being punished so much. Because why the hell are you poor? There's so much barriers that actually keep you in a very tight circle that you just keep going back and forth and back and forth, and it's like it's so hard to break out of it and break that barrier and just elevate your life and move forward. I know it's possible, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's like, let's just admit the difficulty that comes with just being a poor person. So a lot of people tell you, oh, why don't poor people just save money, save money, save more, save more? And it's like, honestly, why can't they just be enough money for people to survive? Why is it so expensive for people to survive? That's the root of the problem, though. Like, it's the survival, the money you need, the amount you need to actually survive every day of your life is expensive. Another big one is always trying to buy something that like is made cheaply and costs like very cheap amounts. It doesn't cost much because that's what you can afford. You don't have money to buy like the qualitative one, something that's gonna last you long. And then when you buy that cheap one, you need to replace it constantly because it's always going bad. It's not gonna last you long. And constantly, before you know it, you're accumulating more money. You're spending way more than if you had the money outright to even buy something that's very qualitative, that's gonna last you long. Then you won't have to be spending this much. A lot of information and things that you could research on and learn how to get your things together, get your shit together. There are a lot of people who grow up poor and still broke the barriers and actually made it in life. Like, they're in a good place and financially well. But for many people, they don't really have who they can look up to, who would teach them, or somebody who would actually get them in that mindset to actually do better financially, to actually make good decisions that are going to end well for them. But no, these are the things. They grew up with just survival and managing stuff. I saw this comment and it was so funny. The person was saying you need 1 billion to actually be able to get $1 million. You need to be rich to make more money. And funny thing is, the life actually, like, it's so rewarding to people that have money. And you might notice that once you have a lot of money, it's so easy for you to make more. Like, you just keep finding yourself in opportunities and rooms or spaces that actually increases your money rather than take it down and make it nothing. But being poor, trying to climb that ladder is so difficult. But when you're already up there, it's like you have more opportunities and room to just keep going up and higher. And that's just what life is. You've made it to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video to the very end. Please make sure you click the like button. It helps the algorithm and I appreciate that so much. And subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you're watching me for the very first time. I really appreciate you. Hit the notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.